are more than a building. We are the people who live here and work here.
It's a tradition that began 40 years ago with a purpose that has stayed true over time. A building many years in the making, a vision spread over decades, and an important mission defined by few words. The Charles A. Laurie Student Center has operated under this philosophy since its inception. The staff and students that work in the building are dedicated to promoting a supportive, creative learning environment by developing campus community through a diversity of high-quality, student-centered programs and services.
I think the Student Center is one of the great areas in the university where a sense of community exists and where sometimes you need to work at that.
The Charles A. Laurie Student Center of today is a bustle of student activity. It spreads over 295,000 square feet of space and operates on a yearly budget of $22 million. 12,000 students pass through its doors every day. Not only does it house many student organizations, it is also home to commercial businesses, providing services to the Colorado State University community.
Being able to do your shopping, get your haircut in the Student Center, do your banking, it's things like that that the Student Center really shows that they are here for the students and they are making being a college student more convenient.
The Student Center employs 450 people. There are over 100 members of professional staff which oversee operation and administration, and the remaining hundreds are students, balancing work and school right on campus.
A lot of enjoyable memories here from people that lived and worked and played here.
Our staff was almost as one. We worked well together, we understood each other, we didn't always agree on everything, but we always worked well together, and I think the building and the philosophy of the building shows that today.
The philosophy was instituted in the first student center on campus, housed in Johnson Hall from 1936 to 1962.
Student Union was a place that presented a lot of challenges with different groups that came in and different requirements, and so it worked real well with good people we had to work with.
My own philosophy was just simply hire good people, teach them well, and let them do their work. And it resulted in what I think is one of the finest operations in the country.
It was in Johnson Hall that the dream to make the Student Center a second home for students was instituted. Near the west doors of Johnson Hall, that philosophy is immortalized.
To promote student experience and cooperation in institutional management and general welfare, a center for broadening acquaintance, promoting understanding, encouraging helpfulness, forming lasting friendships.
Because of the growing need for a larger facility during the 1950s, and as enrollment was expanding, plans for a new student center were sent to the drawing table. A committee was formed in 1955 to discuss options.
If you can't have what you want, what can you settle for? And the building is not just an accident, it was planned this way.
After 5 years of meetings, ground was broken on the new facility in 1960. The Student Center was to sit on a former 3.5-acre bean field. It would run north and south, with the major entrances on the east and west side to make it easy for students to have access to the building on their way to and from classes. During the construction, great detail was paid to design, especially on the plaza, one of the trademarks of the Laurie Student Center.
The architect had been asked to create a space that was as large as St. Mark's Plaza in Venice. So the idea of having a large gathering space, I think, was important.
The architect was James Hunter. Some of his more detailed work included art, such as the mosaic tile on the staircase, commissioned to a man who was confined to a wheelchair.
He made that entire mosaic in 1-foot squares and numbered them A1 A2, B1, B2, as to how they were to go up.
2 years and $3 million later, the 164,000 square foot building was open to students only partially finished in January of 1962. It was dedicated in an official ribbon cutting in March of the same year. The university decided to name it the Charles A. Laurie Student Center after the president of the same name, whose tenure at Colorado A&M College was from 1909 to 1939.
It was fun putting it together, and at the time I thought, wow, we are building a student center that's going to be one of the models in the United States.
When they dedicated the original student center in 1962, I think it was, their motto was, "A building is as a building does." And that's kind of a strange statement, but what they were saying is a building by itself, no matter how beautiful it is or how many wonderful facilities there are, is nothing if it's not really serving the students and the faculty and the visitors that come in here.
We weren't really limited, other than maybe telecommunications and electrical lines and those sorts of things. Very well thought out and useful building.
Over the course of the next 25 years, the Laurie Student Center underwent many additional renovations. The bookstore was moved to the north side of the building in 1968 during the first major addition, and in the late 1980s, architects designed the sculpture garden, added the solarium to expand the seating in the food court, and constructed the biggest addition to the east. Ethnic advocacy offices were then moved into that wing.
All the time, we were trying to keep in mind our philosophy of what a student center or a university/student center should be. A place that is, well, Ken McCafferty used to call it the living room of the campus.
The students owned the center, and they used it as a means for communication and learning.
There's no doubt about the excitement that goes with being parts of a student culture that opens up territory that you probably didn't explore on your own.
One of the, I think, probably most important awards and honors we ever received as the Laurie Student Center was being ranked in the top 10 by the New York Times. And that had nothing to do with facilities, but it had to do with the fact that the students and the faculty and staff, primarily students, used the building so much.
It was in July 1997 that the Laurie Student Center faced one of its most difficult times. One of the greatest natural disasters in Colorado history struck without warning, and Colorado State University was right in its path. Up to 14 inches of rain had fallen on the city in one day, causing significant amounts of water to flood buildings all over campus. The Laurie Student Center was one of the hardest hit.
The flood, which was 5 years ago this summer, actually had a huge impact. Once we could deal with the fact that a lot of people lost equipment, they lost their lifetime's records, we lost a lot of other kinds of things and programs we were able to rebuild. But
Student Center staples such as campus media and the bookstore, which were housed in the basement, suffered significant damage in the flood. It took over 3 years to deal with insurance and losses and refurbish the entire lower level of the Student Center. For a time, offices had to relocate as the Student Center was repaired.
When the flood happened and we literally moved in on top of each other, you know, that could have been, we could have been just like very angry with each other by the time we were done. And instead, I think it brought us all closer together, and I think we really had fun learning more about what we all did on a day-to-day basis.
1 year after the flood, the Ram's Head fountains in the sculpture garden began flowing again after years of silence, signifying the university's triumph over the waters that had once devastated the campus. As times change, so do the needs of the students. And in 2004, the Laurie Student Center introduced a new dining area, seating over 200 people and featuring 6 main floor food choices. The renovation also remodeled the bookstore and the main ballrooms, leading the Laurie Student Center into the 21st century. The Laurie Student Center today continues the traditions built in the past. The staff and students build strength in partnerships and remember fondly their time passing through its halls and also enjoying the food.
That clam chowder was excellent, Tommy. I've enjoyed too many bowls of it, probably.
There have been some great people through here.
There have.
Yeah. great programs.
We had a great time. Didn't we have a great time?
The best of times.
It was the best of times. It was wonderful.
As the Laurie Student Center enters the 21st century, its future lies in the hands of a new generation of staff and students, and the challenges that lie ahead will define its place in Colorado State University history.
Just remember that this is a service occupation. This is truly a service kind of job. And the customer may not always be right, but the customer is always there needing your help and your services.
Let people live up to their expectations.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I do know that we want to continue to build upon the foundation that is built upon having a strong staff and folks who are deeply committed to the mission of a College Student Center, which really is about developing and contributing to a strong sense of community at Colorado State University.
And as it endures through the hardships of a changing world and the excitement of a developing university, this building will always remain as the center of student life.